Call the meeting to order at 7:02, and we'll start with the board norms, which are to maintain our focus, communicate respectfully, be present, keep the board productive and effective, and respect the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Seeing
I think so.
Okay.
You do when you're a member, though.
Yes, we do. We have a brand new member, Paul Stapleton. Thank you, and welcome from Wyndham.
Wyndham, yes. Should I say anything?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Paul Stapleton. I am been up in Wyndham for about 6 years. Prior to that, I lived anyway, I'm from Connecticut, and I worked in public education as a social worker for 31 years. Took an early retirement offer, buyout, and I couldn't wait to move out of Connecticut, and Vermont was the first choice, and I found a great spot in Wyndham. But anyway, I've done a lot of traveling, mostly to see my daughter in California, and but I'm kind of settled in more now, and I've gone to the town meetings every year, and this year there was a position that I thought might be a good fit for me. I worked mostly with secondary students, high school. Half that time, beginning, I worked at the public high school with about 2,000 students. And the last 15 years or so, I worked in a special education high school program and middle school for kids with significant emotional disabilities. And I loved the job. It was hard to leave it. I've worked, as I said, for 31 years, and I have a lot of experience and knowledge with the PPT process, due process hearings, 504 meetings. So I'm hoping that I can add something to this group, and I wanted to give back to the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
She's here.
Do you want?
Oh, Emily says she can't hear. Sorry.
Can't hear very well.
I can't hear a thing. Just it's very faint. Everything. I don't. Maybe I'm the only one. I do this all the time, and I just
How
can't.
about now, Emily?
That's getting better,
Better? Okay.
but it's not like normal. Is all I'm saying. If everybody else is fine, then I'll go get some headphones and try
Okay.
to hear. But I think it's different than normal.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're gonna test it now. You want me to just keep talking?
That's getting a little better.
A little better?
Yep, I can hear you now. I'm so
How about
sorry
now?
that I missed the introduction of our new board member, but
Well, I'm not going to repeat it, Emily.
no, yep, I will watch it. I will watch it on
And I'd be happy to talk to you if you want to. I'll give my contact information to the appropriate people here, and if you want to reach out to me at any point, I'd be happy to talk to you.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay.
Is the
You
volume?
want to do introductions of the board members for Paul, and then, so he knows that Emily
Yes.
is a board member you're just talking to.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do we have any other board members out there? Kate. Oh, we do have Kate. Kate, yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself. You're on mute if you're talking.
Hi there. Hello. All right.
Hello.
Hi. I'm so sorry about that. I'm Kate Gehring. I live in Williamsville. Nice to be here with you all. I'll be able to turn on my video in just a moment.
Great, thanks, Kate. Peter.
I'm Peter. I'm a representative for Newfane.
Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Webb. I'm an at-large representative, and I live in Brookline.
I'm Lindsay Bertram, and I live in Newfane. I'm a Newfane rep.
Dana West, Jamaica rep.
Hi, I'm Leanne Jolson from Brookline.
I'm Trevor Hazelton. I'm a student rep and I'm a senior.
Eli White. I'm also a student rep, and I'm a junior.
Joe Winrick, I'm a Townsend rep.
And Al Clausen Townsend.
All right.
A couple of us are on the school staff. Jamie's our after-school coordinator, and Scotty's the principal at Newbrook. And you got me already, the superintendent, and then we have some other people. Hey, what's we do? Other members of the public here. So we're good. Well, we can talk after and get caught up on some stuff, but it's good to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks. All right, student reports.
Yeah, sure. So basketball wrapped up like 2 weeks back. The boys had a good season. Unfortunately, we lost in the first round of playoffs versus Williamstown, I believe. And then the girls got all the way to the quarterfinals. They also lost, but it was 2 good seasons, and I'm very proud of everybody. And then the Journey Away program just got back from New York City. I'm part of the Journey Away program, so I had a lot of fun. We went through Central Park. We did a bunch of stuff within the city. We met with a school, a really, really big school in Inner Manhattan. So yeah, it was really cool. And we are about 2 weeks out, actually 2 weeks exactly out from leaving for our big trip. So that's really exciting.
And where are you going, Eli?
We are going down south to Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and then to Vietnam for around 2 weeks, and then to France.
Wow.
And we're looking into food systems, so how food is grown, consumed, and produced in all 3 of those areas.
Our theater program is in its last week before the show this Friday and Saturday. We have a show Friday at 6 o'clock and Saturday at 7 o'clock. The show we're doing is The Emperor's New Clothes. We also take this show to a festival. We compete against 4 other schools. This year we're going to Thetford Academy. And then if we do well in that, then we move on to more festivals. But PBL just started up last week. Everyone's excited. Great new PBLs, old PBLs that have come back that people are doing. So.
All right, any questions for our students? Seeing none. All right, well, we don't normally do this, but we do have an executive session early on just for folks that need to join that executive session. So unfortunately, we'll have to have everybody except for board members out of the room, out of the Zoom room. And you got my motion.
So I'll make the motion, I'll make a motion that finding that a premature general public knowledge regarding confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body would put the board at a substantial disadvantage if discussed in public.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I make another motion for the board to enter executive session with Attorney Kristen, Wright, and Superintendent Thibault under 1 V.S.A. Section 313 1F.
Second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none? Okay, and actually, unfortunately, student board members, All right, coming out of executive session, we have no action. It was a legal discussion. So, all right, moving on to the minutes of February 12th, 2024. I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the minutes of February 2024, what the day was? 12th
Thank you.
of February 2024.
I'll second that.
Thank you. February 12th.
No, March.
Oh, February. Yeah. It's all right. Sorry.
I'm gonna do my annual, can we spell my name right? There's no E on the end of Leanne. I do it once a year. After that, I say whatever.
If I'll join in the once a year. I'm Lindsay with an EY.
All right.
As usual, Katie was also a member of the public.
Who is a member of the public?
Katie Hazelton.
Ah, thank you. All right.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Then
With those
I will amend my motion with those corrections.
Thank you.
Yes,
Second.
seconded.
Thank you.
Corrections.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
I
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Crystal, is this in relation to the minutes?
I believe I was a member of the public too.
All right. You're a matter of record now. Thank you. Any correspondence? Well,
I don't think so.
okay. And financials?
All right. Got them, Dana?
Yep.
Go ahead.
And you make a motion to accept pay order number 54 for $70.82.
It's easier to read it from here.
Yeah, a lot easier. Thank you.
You got it.
Pay order number 55A, I would call it. $241,833.87. 55B, $9,731.01. 57, $1,187,664.46. And number 58, $1,593.86.
Second.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, there's no 56?
I'm assuming one of the 55 should have been 56, so.
Got it.
An assumption,
Yeah,
but.
makes sense. Yeah. All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
I
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. All right. We have some noisemakers. All right, on to long-term planning update. We get anything back?
So we are right now awaiting a second meeting from Stevens Associates. They've been working on the matrix, so-called matrix, to use as an assessment tool for us to look at options. So we are waiting on that at this point. So I don't know if the board wants to talk more about anything else related to that, but we did provide information. I think we have some guests here who might be here for this reason to talk about the enrollment projections for next year, including one at JVS that's under 10 students. And so that was one of the things that had come up in long-term planning. Talked a little bit about that. The administrative portion of long-term planning has met last week to kind of talk about that as well, and sort of waiting on board action, I guess, to determine what next steps might be. But it's concerning, I would say. I heard rumors that it was discussed at the Jamaica town meeting as well. I don't know what the outcome of that, if any, was, but. So yeah, I don't know.
Presented.
What's that?
It was presented, and then there was some few questions, but we did, it's in the preliminary stages. We don't have definite plans. But, it was like putting feelers out to see how the townsfolk of Jamaica would feel about it, so. Kinda, here it is. This is what might have to happen, and some people ask some questions. Karen came in and asked some questions, but there's still more to come, right? I'm assuming. We're in the preliminary stages.
Whole point of the matrix is
Yeah.
to tease these things out, for sure.
So one of the challenges of the long-term planning was not necessarily talking about this coming school year, right? And so, because the budget was built, operational as is. But certainly the challenge with the number being as low at Jamaica next year is that it does present some educational equity issues. So just thinking about what action the board would take in regards to that. We just wanted to be, the admin side wanted to be ready for if we are pivoting quickly to make adjustments, knowing that one of the decisions recently that the board accepted of the admin's recommendation was to move one of the pre-K rooms there. And so if that's not gonna happen, we have to make adjustments there and think about where that other pre-K room would go. And so it needs to be an application process for that. If it's not, we're going back to Townsend. Like if it went to Newbrook, you'd have to have some conversation about that, and you'd have to apply to the state and go through a process. And so on and so forth. So like there's things that have to be ready, and so contracts will be going out mid-April. So there's some deadlines, we'll say, that are looming that could create some challenges. I just don't know what the board wants to do. You want to wait for the next long-term planning committee to dig into it a little bit further and then come back with a recommendation? Is the board willing to do a special meeting if they needed to, just because of the timeliness of this, rather than waiting another month? Like just thinking about what sort of things to consider as we dig deeper into this.
What's the number, Bob?
Which number?
Student
Jamaica.
Projected for next year is 9.
For 9.
Is K
That's the
through,
projection.
K through,
K through 6.
through 5?
5, K through 5, sorry, yes.
And pre-K?
And pre-K?
That does not include pre-K. We've put out early feelers on who would be interested in going there if the pre-K was there, and we have a 1 definite and that's 2 maybe. So it's not a huge number, which creates other challenges for us, because let's say if we have 2 classrooms at Townsend that both accept up to 20, let's say they both have 17, just to pick a random number. If only 2 people pick Jamaica and you're capped at 20, because you would be for legal reasons for the pre-K, then you're potentially losing students in the pre-K, which is a decrease in revenue as a result, if they choose not to go to Jamaica.
What was last year's pre-K at Townsend? Or whatever, this year's pre-K?
Is,
We have 29.
there she is.
So it's 29 this year and projected next year?
Between the 2 rooms this year, 29, yeah.
Okay, and next year, with the move, that number would go to what?
Well, so Townsend would be capped at 20. And so if you had the same number, which we don't know that we would, but let's say you did, then Jamaica could take 9. But if only 2 want to go there, that's 7.
So we would lose 7.
You could lose revenue from those 7 if they choose to go private instead, or don't go to pre-K or whatever. It's just it's something to just be aware of. And so that is a factor. If people didn't choose to access that particular location for pre-K.
And, sorry, I have another question, is this okay? Thinking of the equity of that, you can't say, okay, well, we're gonna force certain people to go to Jamaica. So if there's only a certain number, how do you choose who gets it? And I don't understand the legality of that, the equity of that,
So what you're getting at is if there were 29 people interested in pre-K and Townsend was locked in at 20 slots, and 7 people were out in the cold, if you will, how would you decide which 20 get in?
Yep.
Great question.
Cool.
You eliminate school choice. That's the problem.
So, yeah, you have to come up with a mechanism for doing that, and
lottery, yeah.
I mean, you could do it by lottery, you could do it by location, you could do it, I don't know what, by, yeah. I mean, it's a challenge, and that's another factor that's sort of on the table as far as what makes us hard.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
So if there's no way, like if we decided we wanted to backpedal and have only pre-K at Townsend again next year, there was a reason we didn't continue doing that. So could we do that?
So let's talk about that reason. So that reason is that one of the classrooms utilized at Townsend is quite small.
Yep.
And so for the particular grade that's in it currently, it's doable. I won't say it's awesome, but it's doable. And so so yes, you could make some adjustments and do that, but the problem is that's not a short-term problem because that cohort of kids, whatever. So now are you leaving that cohort of kids in that same room for the entire time they're at Townsend and moving the teachers around? So anyway, so there's like challenges to that. And so added information that's new since the last time we talked is that Wyndham did vote to tuition students. And so we don't know exactly how many would come. So that's, but right now we have 12. So if all 12 returned, or even if 10 returned, you still got to account for that space as well, so.
When you say tuition, does that mean they can go to any school in our SU or any school?
They go to any public school is what the warning was for. So they could leave our SU from Wyndham. So, yes.
So I feel like we're starting to be in the weeds a little. And I don't think that's necessarily bad, but is this the moment we're having this whole conversation? Or is there additional information we may want to ask of the administration so that we have all of the things and like think about those things and then have a special meeting? Or do we feel like let's just have this conversation now and then again later? I mean, like obviously we can't really make a decision. Are we legally required to warn? How does this legal decision happen?
So I do. So many questions. Yeah, so you have a lot of questions, Lindsay. I don't know if
So many questions.
capped at some point with the questions. But I think first of all, to get in the weeds a little bit on this is important because it does outline the complexities of this. It's not just a simple like, what do we do? It's kind of a complex problem, and so there's lots of ways to go at it. You do have a long-term planning committee that's been studying buildings and arrangements and all this kind of stuff for, I don't know, a long time. I was looking at Drew, but he has head down, but a long time. And so I guess if you're asking me, and you're asking Al, but I'm going to interrupt. If you're asking me, I would respectfully suggest that the board kick this back to the long-term planning committee and direct that committee to come back at some point in the near future with a recommendation about stuff, whether it's next year in this problem, or whether it's maybe if we can solve the broader thing, maybe it's a broader solution longer term, shorter longer term, or longer term, I don't know. But because we've been talking about different stages. And then, because I just feel like that committee has had a lot of progress and a lot of conversation, and they know the weeds better.
Yep.
And for them to be able to come back and present something to the board as here's a suggestion, a recommendation to the board around all of it, you could then get into the weeds if you had to at that point, but at least the group that's already in the weeds can root around a little bit more in the weeds, I guess. That'd be my suggestion, but there's nothing on the agenda for you to make any decisions tonight, so that probably isn't in your best interest.
When? No, you shot. When would our next long-term?
So that's why I was waiting for Diane to get back to me. She told me she'd get back to me early this week. It's Monday, but she didn't get back to me today, so I'll see what tomorrow brings. I can keep you updated on what we hear and when that would be scheduled. The challenge with Stevens is that they instead of scheduling in advance and then having them backfill to get that, they wait till they're done and then they schedule it. So like we have to then shuffle things around to make the meeting work, but that's okay. I can talk to her tomorrow and be like, can we just set a time?
Yeah, let's see if we can push for
I can push her for that to see if we can get something, perhaps even the end of this week or early next week, but to get that, then we can see who can make it and then see where that goes.
Let's try that, and then, so they'll have the matrix side of it. You folks will have thought about it from the administrative side. And Lindsay will have 50 other questions.
Right. She's on the group, so.
I'll be there. That's right, that's fine. Okay, so Scotty and then Liam, sorry.
And the one thing that we haven't talked about yet is that it's March 11th. So we've got 3 months till the last day of school, pretty close. And from my standpoint, like as I kind of think of myself as a middle manager, I think like if we needed to make some kind of fundamental change before next school year, like it's going to be expensive because we only have staff for 3 months, and then and the staff have to, like, depending upon what the choice was, it could. So I'm really looking forward to going to this meeting and trying to work through these ideas because I just feel the pressure of time. It's spring.
Understood.
Yeah. Thank you.
Man.
I was just wondering if we knew a timeline with any possible tuition students from Wyndham when we'd have a more firm idea of how many, because I don't know on the numbers. I remember hearing that we would have less spots to offer if we didn't have a fully operating campus in Jamaica.
Well, so one of the weeds is that.
I didn't want to get into it, but at the same
Right,
time, I was
so
looking for the timeline.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Their board reorganizes and meets next week. So that's probably when we'll start to get into a little bit of what the process would look like. But in essence, if the Stratton model, which is non-operational, there's no process. You just enroll your kid.
Okay.
And so you're sort of at the whim of when families enroll their kids. So I don't think the board would set, I shouldn't say, but I wouldn't think the board would set anything around that because it's really, they're just paying the bill. But one of the weeds is that Townsend is limited by its water and septic around a capacity. So that's one of the things to think about in the reconfiguration, or a configuration, I should say, in how many students are there, and if you're, anyways. So it's one of the things to think about, and we're getting close to that number, if not at that number. So, a lot of weeds.
Yeah. All right, well, good. Look forward to hopefully meeting.
I'll push them to get a date earlier, and I'll get the committee and the principals in that, and we'll see what we can pull together.
I'll bring the Tums.
The Tums.
I would just say, I'll get to you, Peter. What's that?
And Kate's raising.
Oh, Kate's raising, okay. Yeah, I just want to get, so anybody who's not part of that meeting, what other things would you like us to think about, discuss during that meeting? Go ahead, Kate.
I have a quick response or question to you, but a quick follow-on to Leanne first. Do we have any informal survey mechanism or any outreach to the Wyndham families to get a sense, even if they're not committing, to get some idea of what they're thinking? Does that make any difference?
Yeah, we can do a straw poll of the families who are currently at Townsend. What we don't know is, will there be any students from other places that we don't currently have addresses, you know what I mean, like contact info for, who might be at other placements or other private schools or homeschooled or other types of situations. So it's hard that we can't really access everybody, but we can certainly access the 12 under West River's current supervision.
Got it. Thanks. It's just even those Wyndham kids, if we have any.
I think that's a great starting point.
And just a quick then follow up, Al, to, as I understood you, what folks who are not part of the long-term planning committee want to know, which is, I feel like it would be great if you all could share more general information with us. I sort of don't know what I don't know at this point without any data, without any sense of anything. And I know that the long-term planning committee has been working on this, knows a lot. I'm super grateful for the work, but I do think it's important that the rest of the board knows what's going on along the way and that we can participate, support, but just be some part of that without being necessarily part of the committee. But if there's more information that you could share with all of us just to let us know what's going on, that would be really helpful. And as you know, there's conversation in the community as well. And it's just helpful not to spread information, but just to have some idea of where the board is rather than just kind of outside chatter.
Yeah, no, agreed. Emily, I think I see your hand as well.
Yeah, just following up on what Kate said. Actually, minutes are supposed to be taken at any committee meeting, and they should be sent to all board members. And I totally agree with Kate. We need to be, all of us on the board need to be very aware of what's happening at any committee meeting that's a committee of the board, which this long-term planning meeting is. So minutes need to be taken, they need to be warned properly, and then, we should be reviewing the minutes at our board meetings. So thank you for that.
Great, thanks, Emily. And we do have minutes for. No.
I just don't see them.
Yeah, I don't know that we've been developing minutes.
Okay.
So we will. We have
on the Stevens side of it.
We have some documents that have been produced.
Yeah.
For sure, and we have one page, we did that summary last 6 years of long-term, like, I just don't think there's been any minutes, but we will do that.
Yeah.
To be honest, it didn't occur to me, so we'll do that.
All right. Good points.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else before we move on? No. NEASC updates.
Yeah, so the NEASC process is rolling along. Our two co-chairs, which are Shelley Bostrom, Newbrook teacher, and Ashley Matson, Leland and Gray teacher, are co-chairing the West River Committee. They've been working on a sort of a summary report, if you will, to guide the first shorter visit that the commission will make with us. And as part of that, they have invited us to participate in a small team of people to participate in a conference with NEASC in Boston coming up with presentations by other member schools around things that they're doing, which will help inform our work. So we are in the early stages of drafting answers to questions, if you will, like sort of a self-study, but a much different, much smaller scale than the previous NEASC self-study process, which was enormous. We're starting to collect documents, student work, lesson plans, unit plans, things that will support claims that are being made in the self-study report. And I don't think there was anything else that you can think of from that part. I think that might be it. Just kind of rolling through. Yeah, I mean, it's a process. We're following it, and those two are leading the work and keeping us up to date. Some of our members have also been, of our staff have also been invited to join visiting committees at other schools. And so we'll hear back from that experience as well. So we'll know more about what that was like with this new NEASC process. So I don't know, Paul, you're probably familiar with NEASC if you were in Connecticut in a secondary school. So we're doing it as a district instead of as a high school here because it's a new process they have, and they've completely changed their process. So the board a year or two ago, part of our long-term planning actually led to getting reaccredited. We had high school had been accredited at one point, but previous principals had taken us off. And so we were going to go back in, but do it with the elementary schools as well as a district. So that's what we're doing. But we're in year one of like starting. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Let's see, principal reports. Let's see who we have out there. Renee.
Hey there. All right, I've got a bunch of cool stuff to share with you. So Townsend Elementary just finished our readathon last week, and we raised a total of $9,594. Pretty amazing. I think we beat Newbrook. Sorry, Scotty.
I'll get that confirmed.
You did do it first, so you know. But yeah, we have class with the most participation is going to get a pizza party. Class with the most funds raised will also get a pizza party. We kind of wanted to recognize the efforts for reading as well, not just the financial side of it. And whole school is going to get ice cream for their efforts. We're looking at like a whole school end of year field trip, which we like to do, but making something a little bit more over the top, maybe using some of this newfound fundraising fund. So we're excited about that. 22nd, we're going over to Leland and Gray to see the Emperor's New Clothes. Or actually, we're going up to the town hall to go watch that. So that's on the 22nd. They're going to do a school performance for us. We have a Latches field trip with Newbrook coming up. We're all going to the orchestra 3 through 5. So that'll be exciting. And for staff stuff, at the end of the month, myself and a couple of my staff members will be attending our PBIS Tier 3 training, which just means it's more of an intensive behavioral plans for the school. So we've had a lot of success with our targeted behavior plans this year, and they've been running really well and had a lot of success with students. And so we're excited to take this training and see, if we can dig a little deeper into those. So thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Monica.
Hi there. Let me get my screen on. Okay. There we go. Maybe. Yeah. Hi. Hi, everybody. So let's see. At Jamaica Village School, we've been doing what we do. And we have some exciting things going on as well. We are going to our second to the last GIST program tomorrow. So we were very fortunate to get some snow this weekend. So we're excited to have a Bluebird Day. Let's see, we're going on a field trip on Wednesday to Wardsboro Elementary School to participate in their Star Lab presentation. And we have a bus safety drill coming up this week. And let's see, senior luncheon coming up. And also we are planning an Owls field trip to go visit Jamie Maloof at her house and her property and spend the day with her going through our Owls program there. And that should happen next week. So let me know if you have any questions, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with all of you and to be at Jamaica Village School.
Thanks, Monica. Dana.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Dana.
All right. Quite a few updates. In academic proficiency, our ELA teachers are working to assess the impact of the SIM, which is a specific writing process they're using with students. The initial feedback from, I would say, a small sampling of students at the high school has been pretty positive. I also know our 8th grade students finished the NAEP tests. We don't know what the results were, but it was interesting that the folks that came in and administered the tests actually complimented our staff members on the students' behavior during the testing. Apparently, at other schools, they've not been receiving the same poise with the students. So take that when we can get it. In terms of personalized learning, we have some shifts for next year. And again, our personalized learning portfolio committee is working on initial steps to get those in place with middle school students next year. I'm not sure about the progress for high school, but it's going to have to get there in the future. Project-based learning has, they've already taken a number of steps to really further evolve that aspect of our schooling. And they want to see staff using that on a more routine basis within regular courses, and switch to some sort of an intensive. Again, they don't have all the details worked out, but it's where they want to go with the work based on data and feedback that they've gotten. And then for our other committee, we have our mentoring committee, which also is really trying to understand how to support newer staff members at Leland and Gray, but also understanding the fact that the district has a mentoring committee. So they don't want to overload new staff members, but they do want to make sure that people are supported for success in our building. And then we did just have in-service with John Kidda and Up for Learning. And that day combined our work on community building and restorative work, but also melded with student identified targets around language and specifically comments that students are feeling are within the school that are either mean-spirited or humor that's mean-spirited. And so we spent the morning working on that, and I just processed quite a bit of the feedback from that. And I have to tell you, it was pretty much universally positive, which I wasn't really expecting. That's a little unusual. I mean, there's always a blend, but people were pretty positive about the work that we did and seemed to be growing and changing how they think about things, and eager to do more work in the area of consistent expectations, but also in terms of how we work with students in the school. And that's probably a good place to stop.
All right. Thanks, Dana. And the man in the room, Scott.
Well, I'm right here, so I'm going to try to, the things that we share in common, I'm going to try not to cover. So the elementary schools are this week receiving a large shipment of new supplies from EL Education. As a matter of fact, my office is full of boxes right now. I was unboxing today. I'm very excited about this move. What this is going to mean is that we're going to have a consistent, coherent ELA, science, social studies curriculum for K to 5. I am very excited about it. This curriculum has, it's very visually pleasant, and it's very organized and laid out in a way that I think that people are going to really be attracted to. Kids especially, I think, will be charmed by it. I'm excited. Jen McCusick has rolled out a implementation plan that includes some staged training that's not like in the middle of your workday. We got time and place, and we're also going to be doing kind of a soft implementation. So there are 4 modules that would comprise a year. We're going to try to do 2 of those 4 modules next year, K to 5. And what that means is that teachers will be given the time, they'll be able to take the time to really figure out how to best use the materials and how to best schedule their day in order to make the most of their time. I'm very excited about it, not only because we did a bunch of reading about it beforehand, but also because I've watched some videos of people using the materials, and it's inquiry-based, and it's also project-based, and a lot of the grades have labs that go along with it that kind of take the learning not quite public the way you do PBL in high school, but the kinds of things where kids are teaching other kids, which I think is going to be great. I also wanted to say thanks. We sent an artful ice shanty down to the museum in Brattleboro. Ours was made of plastic and recycled cans and bottles that people brought in. And it was meant to raise awareness about the issues of plastic marine debris in our oceans. I want to thank Jason Gregan, our 4th grade teacher, and Suzanne Paw, our art teacher, for collaborating to make that happen. It was a great thing. I also want to invite all of you. On Thursday, April 4th, there'll be a reception from 3:30 to 5 at the Kroll Gallery at the Moore Free Library in Newfane. So that's right in the middle of our district, or SU. And all of the art students all around the district are making items that Ms. Paw is going to install at the museum, and it's going to be up for a whole month. But if you want to come to the reception, that's great, or you can pop in anytime you want during their hours. The work was inspired by the amazing talents of musician Evelyn Glennie, who is she's a percussionist. She's a deaf percussionist. And there was a picture book about her that all the kids have experienced in art class, but then they have, their learning has stemmed from that book to the creation of their own art. So I'm really excited about it. And again, I mean, Suzanne does such great work. Just really quickly, I'm still looking for a librarian. So if you guys can help me, please let me know. And we're going to the orchestra. Our readathon, how much did our readathon make?
A little over 8,000.
Oh, so they did beat us.
They did.
Wow, all right. And again, we're also sending a group to the PBIS training at the end of the month. If you don't know what PBIS means, it means that instead of waiting for a child to mess up and then telling them about it or consequencing them for it, you're trying to teach children about what proper behavior looks like, and then incenting them whenever you possibly can from the get, in order to reduce the number of times you need to address issues when they come up.
and it really works. And it's a model that the state endorses. They have a grant that pays for us to go to this training. And I'm setting a team of 3 up, including my counselor and my 5th grade teacher and our behaviorist. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Annual meeting planning.
You're skipping my report?
Oh.
You're skipping my report?
Oh, jeez. No, sorry.
So you guys did get the cabinet report included in the materials as well. I know it's long, and I'm sure everyone's read all the reports before the meeting tonight, but if you have questions on that, please let me know. I particularly want to highlight some of the mentions around the EL work. If you were not part of the SU meeting where we had the little rollout there of the curriculum piece with Jen, watch the video, which I shared out, I think, with everybody as well, which I think typifies sort of the work and the place that this SU is at. And we've been so well positioned to be able to move forward, as Sky said, to do everything in the best interest of kids. And so this is, like, I don't know, I almost felt like if I do nothing else as superintendent the entire time here, like, if this is successful, that's huge. So I'll do other stuff too, I promise. But like, that's a pretty big deal, and it's the potential to really, like, I don't know, really level playing field for a lot of kids. So, and then the only other part of my report I wanted to mention, we have a gentleman sitting in the audience here who is not sitting up here with you, and I just wanted to just talk about that for a second. So the Jamaica town clerk called me very apologetically that the position that was up, that should have been up for election at the Jamaica town meeting was not warned and therefore could not be concluded during the town meeting. And so a position that Drew had been in and for which you had petitioned, or no, I don't even know if that part, no, it was gonna be from the floor, was unable to be filled at town meeting. So I have been in touch with their town clerk, a couple of the regional town clerks, just to get advice, and the Secretary of State's office, who gave me some information but told me that she couldn't give me legal advice, even though she was a lawyer. So she recommended I talk to our attorney, so I talked to our attorney, who gave me legal advice. And so in the end, we have a vacancy on the board, and there's a statute that deals with what you do when there's a vacancy, and that statute is to basically put out the word that the board is looking to fill the vacancy, so in this case, to be a Jamaica resident. And interested parties would, in a sense, send us notification of their interest, either to Al, to myself, or to both. And there's supposed to be a consultation with the Jamaica Select Board. And then this board can appoint that person, whoever it is that may happen to, express interest. So we does not require a special meeting or anything like that, either by the town or by the district, just a regular meeting appointment can happen. So that's what our attorney has told us. So that's where we are. I don't know the best way to get the word out to the town of Jamaica. Maybe some of our Jamaica residents here can help with that. Maybe the town clerk has an email blast that they can do, front porch forum. I don't know what the best method is in Jamaica.
Karen?
So we'll just send Karen out to wander the streets and she can tell people. But yeah, and so the idea is that the next time we have a meeting, or if we even had a special meeting prior, we could have, if we had a name prior, we could run it at the select board. They meet 2 weeks from tonight, what I've been told, and do our consultation with them and then bring it to our board for the next meeting. Yeah.
Is it required that be in writing to yourself or myself?
It's a great question. I'll have to look at the statute, and I can send an email out tomorrow to the group just to let you know, to confirm that. Or I can, well, I'm not gonna have time probably tonight, but I can do that. I don't know. In the past, like when we did it, when Wyndham's seat was vacated from the resignation, we did ask for them to respond in writing. And then Marlboro had an empty seat mid-year as well, and they did ask to have that. They were a little less formal perhaps than Marlboro. And even in the Wyndham Elementary one, I think they also did in writing. So I think that's maybe the common way, just to kind of, keep it on the up and up. So.
Do we have to leave a certain time period for people to apply? Like if we put it out tomorrow,
right,
can we actually just close the period off so we could make the next select board meeting? Or
I would think you'd want to make it as equitably accessible as possible. But I think you could do it I think if you gave a deadline the day before the next select board meeting, then they could consult with us at that meeting, or you could consult with them at that meeting, and then at our next meeting, you could appoint.
I think the next select board meeting is in
2 weeks, yeah.
25th.
If you don't fill it within 30 days, then I think it does go to a special meeting. So it's advantageous for us to do it by our next meeting. As far as ease anyways. So that's the story. She was very apologetic at the town clerk's office, but mistakes happen. So, and that is the end of my report, unless people have questions. I know, it's okay.
All right, annual meeting planning.
So I just put that on there because I mean, year one, and I don't know typically what you guys have done, but you have an annual meeting coming up, which will be before your next regular meeting, and therefore I thought maybe you'd want a moment to talk about that. But you have a warning, it's already been warned. There's no action being taken at your annual meeting. It's all being done by Australian ballot the day after. So you're really double dipping with it as an information session for your budget, which is statutory. So Lori is here, her hand is raised. I assume she will want to jump in on some information on that, on the budgetary side.
All right, go ahead, Lori.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'm preparing a presentation that I believe last year we did during the article, the budget article. And so I'm be looking for a board member or two that would love to join in with that presentation. The presentation will talk about the the budget itself, the expenditures, where the expenditures are up, and the tax rate information for the public. As well as some school, hopefully the schools will all be reporting out too. So is that a yes, Al?
I'm glad to help. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
All right, that's.
So Bob, on that informational piece, in terms of the moderator.
Yeah, so that's a great question. That came up in some, I guess, actually, it was correspondence. I guess I forgot about that one.
Right.
Was that just to you and me?
I think so, yeah.
From a community member who expressed questions around how this process had unfolded from the standpoint of whether or not we were doing it legally by having all of our items as articles and not done from the floor, specifically the positions, the clerk, the treasurer, and the moderator. I copied what was done last year, and that's where I got that model from. So this isn't new. This is what you guys did last year. But the question was whether or not that should be. And so we, again, consulted with an attorney and came back with, we are okay. It's all good. We're ready to proceed. The question that Al's asking is, in the end, if you aren't doing any voting, do you need a moderator? And so that's a great question. I don't know that we really got a firm answer on that. I think the answer we got was the board chair could serve in that capacity for the annual meeting. But you could also have the old moderator continue from last year to moderate the meeting until the election, which would be the next day. Now, there's no candidates on the ballot for moderator, so it would be a write-in campaign for the following year. So you could invite, I believe it's Mr. Thibault?
Yeah.
To come back and moderate the annual meeting, even though there's really nothing to moderate? Or
and would he would technically be the moderator until the next election anyway, which would be the day after this information.
You got it, yep.
So really, de facto, he's the.
Right, so he is the moderator for your annual meeting / information meeting.
Right.
It's just that the question is whether or not you actually have to have a moderator if you're not doing anything from the floor.
So if we wanted to not go forward with a moderator, we could just, on the to elect a moderator, Article 1, just not elect a moderator, right? And then.
I guess you could do that, yeah. I mean, I don't know what we'll hear from the community about that. But it is kind of if you're going to continue to have those positions be elected via Australian ballot, which I think was a shift you guys probably made during COVID, is my guess, and is what he was suggesting as well, that do you want to undo that? But in order to undo that, you have to do that, you have to warn that and vote on going back from an Australian ballot back to a floor vote, which you didn't do because we didn't know about it until after the warning was already put out. So next year, you could warn it for the, so anyway, so we're kind of caught in this little bit of a lag, but, you know, Leanne, I'm sure has thoughts there too.
Well, this is just going from memory. Part of what we did with doing it all on the ballot is because we were split before. We had some of the articles were on a ballot and some of them were from the floor in the meeting. And that was also super confusing. So it just seems like it's overcomplicated somehow, and I'm not sure if we're missing something here or what.
Well, I think different boards do it differently. I saw one warning that had the first couple as regular. In fact, one of the ones that he shared with us, this was Rick Hagee, by the way, he's a community person, that he shared with us was one from 2018 or 19 that actually had Articles 1, 2, and 3 from the floor, and then Articles 4 through whatever via Australian ballot. So you can split it, but it can cause confusion for people. You know, one of the challenges to electing those folks from the floor is that in order to elect them, you would need to confirm their voter registration status.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it from the floor and there's no people's names on the ballot, and the clerks from those towns aren't there to confirm them, you can't really appoint them anyways. So like, there's a lot of little weird things I've learned through this process that are just, so you might be better just sticking to it as it is and proceed, but.
Emily, go ahead.
Thanks. I guess I would ask, can we as a school district at our annual meeting not have a moderator? And I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying that is that part of statute that we're required to elect a moderator for our meetings. And even if we're not electing folks from the floor or doing anything from the floor, the meeting still contains a discussion about, as an information meeting about the budget. And of course that a moderator can easily run that. And, it is a once removed position for one meeting a year. And first of all, I'd want to know whether you can eliminate the moderator position. I'm not sure you can. Maybe you can, but I don't know the answer to that. And I think we'd need the answer to that. And I don't think I think it might be advisable to have one for an annual meeting. And I actually think that Rick Heggie's suggestions or his questions are, I didn't see what he wrote to you, but they're legitimate. I think it's important for us to think about how we operate at that meeting. And many towns do their municipal meetings with a mixed system where some things are voted by Australian ballot and some things are done off the floor. And we've done that before here. And I just think that we should think this out before we make a decision to eliminate, that's all. And check the statute to make sure that if we're going to go fully remote like this, what the implications are. That's all.
Thanks, Emily. All right.
Well, let's see. Shall we get a hold of Mr. Lebo?
I'm sure he's going to show up and moderate this meeting.
Right. So as it stands, every one of these will be on the Australian ballot. So it's all righted anyway, moderator, clerk, treasurer.
And I have been told that your current clerk does not wish to serve further. So.
Right.
If elected, she will not serve.
Got it. And any response from an alternate?
Not yet.
Not yet.
There's some inquiries around what will be involved. And I'm sorry to report I don't entirely know. So I didn't have a quick answer.
Okay. And anything on treasurer?
No, we do need that one. We definitely need a clerk and a treasurer both. The treasurer can be someone outside the community. And I think Emily's raising her hand, but I think Lori has also, I think, suggested that maybe since she'll be departing mid-year, that maybe we seek alternates. I don't want to misquote you, Lori, but I think that's what you said.
Got a nod there, I think. Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, I was just going to actually say also following this, that I do believe that since we're a multi-town district meeting, a unified union school district, people could petition to put something on our agenda, just like they can in a community. And so that might be non-binding, but again, that there are broad implications of what could be in the future on one of our warnings. And so I guess when we're trying to decide what we should be doing in our next steps, we should be thinking about what might be on our warnings in the future, not what has been on our warnings in the past. Because I do believe that our communities have a right to petition us to put something on our warning as well. So, and in those situations, I think a moderator is a fantastic thing to have. I have a lot of faith in our moderator, so. Not that I don't have faith in you, our chair, but I think it makes it easier when it's once removed from our board. That's all I'm saying. Okay, sorry. Thanks.
Yeah, Emily, I didn't want you to get the opinion that I was heading in that direction. It was just more of a response to Rick's questioning, I should say.
I wasn't getting any impression whatsoever, but thank you for listening.
Sure. All right. Any other thoughts on this? No? All right, I'll be talking with you, Lori. Okay.
I actually, so not about that part of it, but just about the meeting in general. I'm wondering if it's possible to get paper copies of the annual report to all of the different schools so that people can pick them up there. And perfect. And email that link to everybody's email that we have. I know that Newbrook sent it out today, so that's good. And is there somebody that's available to post, whether it's just a link to it or whatever, where we can do it on Front Porch Forum? And if anybody else has any other ideas to make sure people are aware to show up and please vote.
Individual town listservs.
And that's why we shared it out. I think the last meeting we talked about getting that link back to you guys quickly so you could disseminate it to your local communities as well. So that's why Sue sent it back to you guys pretty quick with the digital version of that. So yeah, send that out as best it can. The schools, many, if not all of the little stores and medium-sized stores have copies, and all the town clerk's office, except Brookline, because it's not open until tomorrow. They'll get it tomorrow. Everyone else already has them. So.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right. It is now time for public comment. We're almost lunch. Yeah. Wow. 6 minutes late. Yes, Karen.
Karen Amadon, Jamaica. Our principal, Monica Deuce, is applying for our pre-K license, which was basically taken away from us numerous years ago. It was not renewed 1 year, and even though we asked, we were not able to get that license back. And in order for a school to grow, you need to start with the 3, 4, 5-year-olds. And instead, we were forced to send our children down here to Townsend or to Londonderry or wherever. But we had no preschool or kindergarten. And we had a great program going before that, and then it was abruptly changed. We can't grow if we don't have that 3, 4, 5-year-old group. So now we're going to hopefully get it back, but I'm a little dismayed to hear so much about Jamaica closing. I think you need to give us a chance to get our kids back, especially when you're talking about Townsend School not having any room and refusing to take pre-K students in Townsend because there's no room. How can you do that when there's another school? And you don't seem to want to send Townsend students up to Jamaica, but you have absolutely no problems forcing Jamaica to go to other schools. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. But you need to give us a chance. We have a principal who is absolutely fantastic and has great programs going at the school. And I think we could build it up some. It may not be as big as Townsend or Newfane, but especially seeing as though there's no room down here. And I've been on been involved with numerous long-term planning committees. And there's no room here. I mean, we tried to figure out how to fit everybody down here in a centralized school, and we can't do it. So let Jamaica live a little longer. I think we can maybe pull it back together.
Anybody else?
Drew?
Just a note that the minutes from the special meeting aren't in the packet. They're also not posted. So there was some important discussion about the budget as well as conversation about the student enrollment in Jamaica. Part of the discussion of a former board member was to engage the public in that conversation. So once again, I would encourage that the board engage the public in that conversation. I was hoping to see on the agenda tonight that there would be meetings being scheduled to engage the public in that discussion after the conversation we had at the last meeting. But I would just encourage the board to reach out to the residents and taxpayers and have that conversation. And I don't know when, but I tried at the last meeting to get dates on a calendar, and I'm still saying we need to get dates on a calendar.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, and then we'll go to Kristen. Yep.
I guess, is it better to have a proposal for it and then have a conversation? Or is it better to have a conversation without a firm plan just to talk? I guess I'm trying, which one goes first in your mind? I'm thinking about, because I do remember this conversation, obviously. And I think April was bandied around as a potential timeline for that. I'm just wondering which one goes first. The public meeting when there isn't a specific proposal to talk about, or a proposal and then the meeting getting scheduled. So that's more of just like a logistical question.
My recommendation is put a meeting on the schedule. Let the people know that you're coming to discuss it with them. It also creates a deadline for the board to get your stuff together and be ready to have that conversation. As long as you keep kicking the can without putting a hard date on something, this conversation is going to go another 2 years. So pick a date, put it on a calendar, and force the board into making decisions and recommendations and going to the public with it.
Crystal, did you see Kate? Oh, Crystal and then Kate, sorry.
I just want to say I got to meet Paul briefly at our 8-hour town meeting. I want to thank him for stepping into that board seat. I think he's going to be a great asset to you guys. And, if he's interested in getting his feet wet, I heard there's an opening for an ultimate coach. That's it.
Thank you, Crystal. Sorry, Kate, before I go to you, it is public comment time, so I just want to make sure everybody else from the public has had their voice heard. Anybody who wants to. I'll just quickly, anybody else before I come back to Karen? Seeing none. Go ahead, Karen.
I just happened to think of something else. We had come to the board as JAMBA, Jamaica Area Mountain Bike Alliance, back a while ago. And we have been putting some trails into the Ball Mountain Dam area and things like that. But we are now tackling the Skills Loop project at the Jamaica School. And we're quite excited about it. So just letting you know that we are progressing with that.
Thank you. All right. Before I close it off, anybody else? All right. Seeing none. Go ahead, Kate.
Thanks, Al. And sorry, didn't mean to jump ahead. Just wanted to respond or sort of follow on Drew's comment. I don't know if this is out of sequence since I'm a board member, but I agree that we need to reach out to the community, but the rest of the board really needs information, and we can't set meeting dates and then have a reason not to give the board information and time to be involved before we make a presentation to the community. It's not that folks won't agree, but community outreach is super important. Numerous folks have asked me if the board can start reporting out to the community the way it apparently used to. So for what it's worth, I've heard that a lot, but we need that long-term planning information before we start talking to everybody else.
Thanks, Kate. Appreciate it. And yeah, let's just make sure that anything that has been presented to us is shared out with the board. And then for sure, I did not realize we were not taking minutes or reporting out minutes. Let's make sure we do that.
That's my fault. I don't remember it happening last year either, but I will certainly, so it never occurred to me, but I will absolutely make sure we do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last posted minutes are 2022.
So the answer is no, they were not. I will remedy that moving forward for sure.
Okay.
It wasn't intentionally to keep people in the dark. I just didn't know, so.
So I like Drew's suggestion of setting dates. I know that we can't actually present things to the public without knowing what we're presenting, but I think that it does light a fire under all of us and under Stevens and Associates. And I think that one way or another that we need to move this along quickly, and at least certainly quicker than we are. And I think the worst that happens is we set a date that we're going to present something to the community, and if somehow we don't have our stuff to present, then that's going to be a pretty lame meeting. But I think that we need to at least get it out there, and that will give people an opportunity to hear about it is going to be happening. So there's no like, okay, we finally got the stuff, we're going to have a meeting in 3 days. Like, you can't do that to people. So let's just set some dates and make it happen, and then we will have a thing to say.
All right. Can I ask that if we're going to have a meeting at the end of this week, early next week?
Rereading her email, and it looked like actually she was supposed to get something at the end of last week, so I'm emailing her right now to.
Perfect. Okay. Let's do that. That long-term planning meeting. All right. That way we'll see what Stevens has, and we will move with haste. All right. Sounds good. So that was public comment. Anything else before we move into our next executive session? No. Seeing none. All right, sir.
All right, I make a motion finding that premature or general public knowledge regarding confidential labor relations agreements with an employee would put the board at a substantial disadvantage if discussed in public.
Second that.
All over the place.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I make another motion for the board to enter executive session under 1 V.S.A. section 313 1B.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All All right, as soon as everybody leaves, we are going to be going into executive session.
We are coming out of executive session and we had a couple motions to be made. Joe first.
Oh, sure, I was just saying ladies first.
Oh.
I want to make a motion to authorize the chair to sign a memorandum of understanding regarding the kitchen staff position, specifying that it does not add any FTEs.
Seconded. Peter, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you.
I will make a motion to allow the chair and superintendent to negotiate a labor relations agreement with an employee with the specified cap.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, that's great.
Second. Paul's got a second. All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. All right, a reminder before we jump to the final motion, March 26th, we do have our annual district meeting, and then on April 8th, we do have our reorg meeting. So, all right. I will entertain that final motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Great job. Have a good night.